Have you ever experienced a moment so perfectly timed that it felt as though the universe was speaking directly to you? Or maybe you've encountered coincidences so uncanny, so repetitive, that they make you stop in your tracks and wonder, what if? For me, these moments happen all the time, like with one of my closest friends. I'll think about him, and without fail, my phone rings. It's him. We laugh about it now, but deep down I can't help but ask, is this really just coincidence, or is it something more? Carl Jung called this phenomenon synchronicity. He described it as an ever-present reality for those who have eyes to see. But what if these moments, those perfect, inexplicable alignments, aren't random at all? What if they're threads in a vast invisible web, signs of a deeper connection between our thoughts and the world around us? What does science say about all of this? Can we truly explain these moments with logic, or do they hint at something beyond our understanding? How can we embrace synchronicity in a way that helps us make sense of the world and our place in it? Today, my friend, let's explore this mystery together. We'll uncover the origins of synchronicity, dive into the minds of its critics, and discover how it might just reshape the way you see your life. Are you ready to open your eyes to something extraordinary? Let's begin by exploring what synchronicity truly means. Let's go. Imagine this. You're walking down a quiet street, thinking about an old friend you haven't spoken to in years. Suddenly you hear your name called, and there they are, standing across the road, as surprised to see you as you are to see them. It feels like more than coincidence, doesn't it? Like the universe itself conspired to bring you together at just the right moment. This is what Carl Jung described as synchronicity, a meaningful coincidence of two or more events, where something other than the probability of chance is involved. It's not about cause and effect, it's about meaning, a connection that exists between your inner world, your thoughts, emotions, desires, and the events that unfold around you. Think of those moments when a song on the radio feels like it's narrating your exact mood, or when a chance encounter leads you to exactly what you were looking for. These aren't just random events. They resonate with something deep inside you, don't they? Jung believed that synchronicity speaks to a hidden part of us. These moments awaken a sense of wonder, a feeling that life isn't just chaos, but something much larger, something purposeful. And isn't that what we all crave? A reminder that we're not alone, that we're part of a greater story. But where did this idea come from? To truly understand synchronicity, we need to look back at its origins, in the mind of Carl Jung and the wisdom of ancient traditions. Come along, old pal. Let's step deeper into this mystery together. To understand synchronicity, we have to step back into the mind of Carl Jung, a man who peered into the depths of our psyche and found something extraordinary, a vast, shared reservoir of knowledge and symbols connecting all of humanity. He called it the collective unconscious. This collective unconscious, Jung believed, holds universal patterns, archetypes that shape our thoughts, dreams, and even our experiences in the external world. Imagine it as an invisible web, connecting you and me and everyone who's ever lived. But Jung's fascination with synchronicity wasn't just theoretical, he saw it unfold in real life. One of his most famous examples happened during a therapy session. A patient was describing a vivid dream involving a golden scarab, a symbol of transformation in Egyptian mythology. As she spoke, a tapping sound interrupted them. Jung opened the window, and there it was, a rare golden beetle, mirroring her dream almost exactly. This wasn't a mere coincidence, Jung thought. It was synchronicity. The external event, the scarab's appearance, aligned perfectly with her inner world, breaking through her skepticism and unlocking deeper understanding. But this idea of synchronicity didn't begin with Jung. Its roots stretch back through time, through ancient traditions and spiritual philosophies. Take Taoism, for instance. At its heart lies the principle of universal harmony, a belief that everything in the universe is interconnected, flowing together in a dance of meaning and balance. Taoist sages taught that by aligning with this harmony, we can find our way through life's complexities. Or consider ancient myths and dreams. Across cultures, these stories often mirror the internal struggles and desires of the people who told them. They act as internal synchronicities, guiding individuals toward their destinies, just as Santiago was guided in The Alchemist. Carl Jung put it this way: the more one emphasizes the idea of chance, the more one is driven to the conclusion that everything is connected. And isn't it a comforting thought, my friend, that even in the randomness of life, there's an unseen order, a hidden thread connecting us all? This idea of hidden connections is powerful, but it's not just confined to theory. We see synchronicity play out in stories, in history, and even in our everyday lives. Shall we take a closer look? Old pal, isn't it easier to grasp a mystery when it's wrapped in a story? Synchronicity may seem like an abstract idea, but when you see it unfold in literature, in the lives of historical figures, or even in your own life, it suddenly feels more real. Let's start with a tale you might know, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And yes, we've already talked about this one on the channel. It's one of my favorite books ever. Santiago, a humble shepherd, sets out on a journey to find treasure buried beneath the pyramids. Along the way, he encounters signs, omens, and what we might call synchronicities. Every event, every person he meets, seems to guide him closer to his goal. But as Santiago discovers, the treasure isn't just gold or jewels. It's something deeper, a journey of self-discovery, and a reminder that, as Coelho writes, the universe conspires to help those who follow their dreams. Now, let's move from fiction into history. Have you heard of Abraham Lincoln's prophetic dreams? Days before his assassination, he dreamed of wandering the White House, finding himself before a coffin draped in black. In the dream, he asked a guard, "Who is in the coffin?" The reply, "The President." When he woke, Lincoln shared the dream with those closest to him. They thought little of it. And yet, only days later, his vision became reality. Coincidence, or something more? And then there's Albert Einstein, a man of science but also one of wonder. He once said, "Coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous." A playful thought, perhaps, but also a profound one. Einstein believed in the mysterious interplay between science and spirituality, and he saw meaning in moments many would dismiss as random. But let's bring it closer to home, my friend. Have you ever been driving, lost in thought, and a song comes on the radio that perfectly mirrors how you feel? It's as if the universe is speaking directly to you, putting your emotions into words you couldn't find yourself. Or imagine this. You're facing a decision, unsure of what to do. And then you meet someone by chance, someone who, without even realizing it, gives you the exact advice you needed. These moments feel personal, don't they? Like tiny nudges from something greater guiding you along your path. Carl Jung captured this beautifully when he said, "When two events unrelated by cause occur together in a meaningful way, we call it synchronicity." So, what about you, my friend? Have you ever experienced a moment that felt so perfect, so meaningful, that it couldn't possibly be random? But while synchronicity can feel profound, not everyone sees it as mysterious. Let's take a moment to explore the scientific and critical perspectives, because even in skepticism, there's something to learn. My friend, synchronicity can feel magical, can't it? Those perfect alignments that make you stop and wonder if there's something bigger at play. But not everyone sees it that way. Some argue that these moments, as meaningful as they may feel, are less about hidden connections and more about how our minds work. So what does science say about that? Our brains, as extraordinary as they are, have a natural tendency to find patterns in everything. It's a survival mechanism, helping us make sense of the chaos around us. But sometimes this pattern-seeking instinct runs wild. Take confirmation bias, for example. It's that little trick our minds play on us, where we notice events that align with what we believe while ignoring the ones that don't. Think about it. When you're convinced the universe is sending you signs, every small coincidence feels like proof. But the dozens of random events that mean nothing, they quietly slip away, unnoticed. Then there's associative memory. Our minds are master storytellers, weaving connections between ideas, thoughts, and events. So, if you're thinking about an old friend and they call, it feels like the universe orchestrated it. But could it be that your brain just linked their call to a recent memory of them? Science also reminds us that coincidences are far more common than they seem. Consider the birthday paradox. In a room of just 23 people, there's a 50% chance that 2 of them share the same birthday. It sounds improbable, but mathematically, it's not. When billions of events unfold every second in a world this vast, coincidences become inevitable. And skeptics often lean on determinism to explain synchronicity. They argue that every event has a cause, even if it's invisible to us. Thinking of a friend before they call, maybe you picked up on subtle cues, changes in their behavior, a memory, or even a routine. Without realizing it, you might have anticipated their call, and when it happened, it felt like magic. But here's the interesting part, my friend. Even Carl Jung didn't reject science or logic. He embraced mystery alongside reason. Chance, he said, is a word void of sense. Nothing can exist without a cause. So perhaps synchronicity isn't about disproving science. It's about recognizing that logic and wonder can coexist. Even if the mind creates these connections, aren't they still meaningful? Whether these moments are the result of brain chemistry, probability, or something greater, they still invite us to pause, reflect, and ask questions. And maybe, just maybe, that's the real magic of synchronicity. But beyond the wonder and mystery, synchronicity holds a deeper potential. What if these moments weren't just fascinating but transformative? What if they could guide us, shape us, and help us grow? Ah, my friend, there's something about synchronicity that stirs the soul, isn't there? It's not just the thrill of the moment itself, but the quiet whisper it leaves behind. A reminder that maybe, just maybe, we're part of something larger, a story far greater than the one we see day to day. Synchronicity resonates because it challenges us to look beyond the surface. It nudges us to ask questions we often avoid. What patterns are shaping my life? What meaning am I drawing from my experiences? It's as if these moments are breadcrumbs left on our path, gently guiding us towards self-discovery. But here's the beauty of it. Synchronicity isn't just something to marvel at, it's something we can use. What if, instead of brushing coincidences aside, you treated them as invitations? Invitations to explore new possibilities, to open doors you hadn't noticed before. Think of them as gentle nudges from the universe, asking you to take a closer look, to pause and reflect. And as you do, you begin to cultivate something powerful: intuition. That quiet voice within you, often drowned out by the noise of the world. Synchronicity teaches us to trust that voice, to let it guide us when logic alone can't. Self-awareness follows closely behind. These moments challenge us to step back, to see ourselves as part of a bigger picture. When you notice the connections between your inner world and the events around you, you can't help but feel a sense of awe, a recognition that your choices, your thoughts, your emotions all weave into the tapestry of your life. Carl Jung once said, "Synchronicity reveals the meaningful connections between the subjective and objective world." Think about that for a moment. It's not just about the outer world aligning with your inner one. It's about seeing those connections and letting them transform you. Because isn't that what we're all searching for? Meaning, purpose, a sense that our lives are more than random moments strung together. So, my friend, the question is, how do you start recognizing these moments? How do you embrace synchronicity in a way that helps you grow? Let's explore that together. My friend, it's one thing to notice synchronicity and marvel at its mystery, but it's another to let it guide and transform you. These moments, as fleeting as they may seem, are like gifts from the universe, subtle reminders to pause, reflect, and act. The question is, how do we make the most of them? Here's where it begins. Keep a journal. Whenever you encounter a coincidence that feels meaningful, write it down. Reflect on it later. Over time, you may start to see patterns emerge, threads weaving through your life, connecting the dots in ways you hadn't noticed before. And when synchronicity strikes, don't just brush it aside. Ask yourself, what could this moment be telling me? Is there a message here, a choice I need to make, an opportunity I shouldn't ignore? But perhaps the most important thing, my dear friend, is to stay curious. Be open to the unknown, to the unexpected twists and turns that life throws your way. Synchronicity often lives in the spaces we don't control, in the surprises and serendipities that take us somewhere new. Carl Jung put it beautifully. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. The same can be said for the meeting of you and a moment of synchronicity. It's not just an event, it's an opportunity to be transformed, if you're willing to see it that way. So, my friend, will you keep your eyes open? Will you listen to those whispers from the universe and let them guide you? Because the beauty of synchronicity is that it doesn't demand belief, it only asks for your attention. And now, as we reflect on all we've explored, let's take a moment to step back and think about the bigger picture. Synchronicity reminds us that life is so much more than random chaos. It's a tapestry of meaning, a web of connections waiting to be unraveled. Whether you see it as mystical or simply a reflection of how our minds work, these moments invite us to pause, to reflect, to connect with the deeper threads of existence that often go unnoticed. Perhaps that's the real gift of synchronicity, not to explain, but to remind us to pay attention, to stay curious, and to never stop wondering. And now, let me ask you, have you ever experienced a moment when everything seemed perfectly aligned? A coincidence so profound it made you stop and think? If you have, I'd love to hear your story. Share it in the comments. It might just inspire someone else to see the world through new eyes. And if this journey into the mystery of synchronicity has sparked something in you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and join me for more explorations into the mysteries of life. Because, old pal, you know what they say, you're not truly subscribed until the universe sends you a sign. Until next time, keep looking, keep wondering, and keep embracing the magic in the everyday. I'll see you soon.